Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Derek Afasi. I'm the owner of Afasi Financial Group. Today's topic I want to discuss with you survivor payouts for annuities and fully explain if you're unfortunately a survivor and your loved one passed away and now you're either the sole primary beneficiary or you're a contingent beneficiary, but you're receiving some sort of payout. What exactly does all those terms mean and how to make sure that you're setting it up in the most effective route? Now, what typically happens, and I could use an example, unfortunately, just these past couple of months, I've had a few clients that's passed away on me. And what happened was we had to establish the survivor payout options the most effective route for the beneficiaries. So I'm just going to call this client Client A. And what happened was I set up Client A in a hybrid annuity back when he was age 68, and it was a IRA. So what happened was he wasn't utilizing his IRA. He had in variable accounts. He took a bad hit in 2008. So he became a client. It was about 4 years ago when we originally established it, and he ended up passing away about a month ago at age 72. So when we established this type of contract, he wanted to make sure that he had safety from downward market losses. He wanted to have upward market growth protection. And then most importantly, he wanted to start triggering some sort of lifetime income stream, in a short time frame. So when he was age 70, that's when he started first triggering his lifetime income payments. So with this type of account, what happened was we originally, and I'm just going to use a $100,000 example. It was a little bit different numbers, but just say a $100,000 example was the original rollover. And from age 68 to age 70, and also to age 72, he was having some decent growth within that type of account. Now, based upon his income stream, at age 70, he was receiving, I'm just going to use a really easy number, let's say $10,000 of income per year. So he waited that time frame. You had to wait those 2 years. He established a contract in 2012. He waited exactly those 2 years, was taking income, and as he was pulling income, his account value was still growing whenever the market went up, gained 0% whenever the market went down, and then his account value would also be depleted by the $10,000 that he was siphoning out each and every year. So when he passed away at age 72, his account value after all the growth, after all the distributions, was still sitting at $100,000. So he placed in 100, he was able to pull out some money, and he was still able to sit at exactly $100,000. So what happened is we'll call his spouse B. She was the sole primary beneficiary. She was a 100% sole primary beneficiary. So what happened is when he passed away, when client A unfortunately passed away, she went and contacted me in a frenzy, and we tried to figure out, okay, what would be the best option on how to take this money, how to utilize these monies properly. So what happened was they gave her three main options. They said you could either trigger a lump sum option, an annuitization option, or a continuation option. The lump sum option stated because it was an IRA, she could continue that contract in his name as if he was still living so that she would have to pay the RMDs, the required minimum distributions, each and every year. So it would be as if, even though he passed away at age 72, they would say, okay, well, you need to pull out X amount of thousands of dollars from this account to suffice his RMD as if he was still living. So that's known as an inherited IRA. So she would have been able to establish an inherited IRA type contract that would have pertained specifically to her goals. The second option, because she was age 60, she stated that, you know what, I've already set up a good income plan, and we established this for her 4 years prior. An income plan, God forbid if something was to happen to him, that she would still have all of her expenses were covered, or both of them would still have all their expenses covered. So she didn't need to pull out any sort of RMD requirements. So the other option was saying she could take it in the form of a lump sum in her name, but it would still be a qualified lump sum in her name. So therefore, we could then say, okay, a lump sum in her name, and look at what would be some of the best options available to her for her exact age, her exact safe accumulation goals, and make sure that we're setting up everything properly, and then in another 5 years possibly trigger some income, to make sure that stepping up for those inflationary type expenses that were suffice already at age 60, but therefore would not be suffice at age 65. So that was a specific way that we were able to say, okay, the lump sum amount could be extremely effective in her situation, because rather than go into an inherited IRA, which a lot of individuals just assume, you could actually place it over in your own name and make it specific to exactly what your goals are. The second option was they said, okay, with $100,000 to help the tax burden, what we'll do is we could pay you like a 5-year period certain. So we'll give you $20,000 off of that 100 grand each and every year that you could go and throw into your checking account. Now, there wasn't really any true benefit for doing so. The incentive of the insurance company to make that offer was to say, well, we're going to hold on to this money. We're going to make interest off of your money. And therefore, instead of paying you $20,000 a year for the next 5 years, we're going to give you $20,100 per year for the next 5 years. So you're really only making about $100 worth of interest for leaving your $100,000, essentially handcuffed to the company. So that's why I typically recommend against the annuitization options. I just think that the insurance companies understand those annuitization options so much in their favor, and that's where they try to lead the individual to say, keep the money with us, and therefore we'll take care of you the correct way with nice interest growth. Because interest rates are so low, the annuitization options have really gone by the wayside. The third option that she was available for was when we originally established this contract in 2012, he was offered specific guarantees, specific lifetime income guarantees, and nice safe accumulation guarantees based upon products in 2012. So with that particular annuity contract, it was a lot more attractive than the annuity contracts offered today. So essentially, she would have been able to have the monies over in her own name and continue that same contract and have all those different guarantees as if she originally established it in 2012. So that's known as the continuation option. Some carriers allow that, other carriers do not. I believe it's about a 50-50 blend. Typically, the contracts that I try to set up, I like to give that person, the beneficiaries, that specific type of option. So understand, lump sum is just exactly how it sounds. It's a lump sum option. You could either take it in the form of an inherited IRA, you could take it in the form of your own IRA, your own name, your own, your own date of birth IRA. If it's non-qualified accounts, you could take that in a lump sum. You could throw that directly into your checking account. You might have certain taxation depending upon how much your account actually gained throughout those years. So just understand there's a whole slew of different lump sum options. Annuitization option, that's going to be the one that the insurance companies are going to try to trick you into, and that's why I have this bullet point over here. Do not get fooled by the insurance company. Understand what your options are. Understand exactly what your particular goals are so you could establish these lump sum amounts properly. Because when you unfortunately make the mistake of an annuitization option, what you're doing is you're surrendering all that money back to the insurance company, and now you're off of their terms. There's ways on how you could leverage insurance companies, insurance contracts the correct way, or safe income contracts the correct way, but making sure that you have flexibility of pulling money out, you have emergency funds, you have the different ways you could trigger lifetime income and establish it the correct way for your exact situation, for your unique situation. The very last aspect, this could be super attractive if, let's say, if the beneficiary, if the person that was the annuitant, that was the owner, if he didn't trigger lifetime income, typically you could have those continuation options. Like if someone's just pulling out withdrawals of like interest-free or you had penalty-free withdrawals, well, therefore that income rider could still stay intact and would allow the spouse to receive that sort of continuation option. So I hope that all of this makes sense. Understand that there's a difference between primary beneficiaries. If somebody is a sole primary 100% beneficiary and they're also a spouse, they're going to have different options than somebody that's a contingent beneficiary. What a contingent beneficiary means is it's going to be second in line, just like a tertiary beneficiary would be third in line. So if you have spouse B that passed away before client A, and client A had two children, C and D, as contingent beneficiaries, will therefore B, if A outlived B, well then C and D would therefore become the new primary beneficiaries off of whatever that percentage split was. So, and then they have their own slew of options. They typically only have that lump sum option or the annuitization option to help out with taxation. So there's a whole couple of different ways on how to set that up properly, and it all goes by age. It all goes by what your income amounts are. Like, do you have a proper income plan set up? Do you have a proper emergency plan set up? Do you have a proper inflationary protection plan set up? And to make sure that you're molding it specifically, to your exact situation. That's what this last bullet point talks about: is customized to your specific situation. Don't go into these things blindly. Make sure that you're dealing with experts that handle this on a daily basis. And that's something that we try to help you guys out with. At any point in time, we're available 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, mornings, nights, weekends, holidays, whatever the case may be. Because of our volume on a national basis, we always want to make sure that we're available to you guys. If you unfortunately came into a survivor payout option and you want to understand how to properly pull out those monies or how to leverage it to and customize a plan specific to your situation with those either lump sum payouts, the annuitization, or the continuation options, please give us a call. It's 1-800-566-1002. We are A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau. We've always had very good reviews. We've never had any complaints. It's because of this methodical process. We are an independent agency, so therefore we're going to give you unbiased information. We're going to try to educate you first and foremost, help you understand the generic concepts of how to properly, utilize your strategies the best way possible, and then see which route would be the best way to go. So on average, we utilize about 1,300 to 1,200 different strategy scenarios products per individual that calls in, and then from there we go through our top 3 options. And this process is known as our Retire Sharp planning system. At any point in time, you could also review our website, retiresharp.com with a P. But also make sure to feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you have access to the most updated videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you at least learned some things.